Greetings, friend, and welcome to the Between the Covers podcast, where we are working every day to remove the self-limiting beliefs that are preventing us from becoming the heroes of our own stories. I am Marcus Spar, and today I want to talk about something that I have had many conversations with friends and clients in the past, and that is how we, and that includes you, are not a problem to be solved. There are so many people that, just as I'm learning about their life stories and the things that they're struggling with, it almost seems to be a human, maybe it's not even human, maybe it's more of a Western society where we are often trained to see our problems in life as being the problems within us. And this is something where I've had to break down some walls with some clients that I've worked with, trying to affirm in them that you are perfect the way that you are. And I even remember, this was several years ago now, on Facebook, I just had this awesome conversation with a client and was trying to do what I could to demystify or even just break down some of these thoughts that he was having around believing that there was something wrong with him, like something legitimately wrong with him, when he was talking about his struggles maintaining friendships, finding a good job, finding support, things of that nature. And I went on Facebook and posted one of the things that came up in that conversation is that we are effectively perfect and beautiful the way that we are, even in our imperfections. And I had an in-law who didn't take too long to jump on and leave a comment saying that that statement isn't true because the Bible says that our hearts are deceitful above all else. This was the source that I was being raised on. It's one of the things that makes me really hesitant to go back towards anything that is Christian, because there was this socialization, this training that was done through this holy book, these scriptures, that taught me as a young, impressionable kid that I was wrong in some way or another. And the whole thing about original sin with the fall of the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve and how that brought sin into all of the world. I was raised with this understanding that there is something inherently wrong with me, and that is why I needed a savior to effectively come in and make me whole again, to make me who I was supposed to be. Since many of the clients that I've worked with have been or still are Christians, this is something that I have had to help them deconstruct, really. And maybe it's, again, just the sources that I listen to. But this is something that seems very common in Western societies, especially here in the US. If you are living below the poverty line, well, there's something wrong with you. And that's why you're unable to meet these basic needs. Maybe you're lazy. Maybe you're just looking for a handout. Maybe you're just not working hard enough. These are all things that I have heard. These are things I have heard directed toward me in the, oh gosh, how long has it been now? 27 years that I've been working. When I was first starting my own recovery journey for my unwanted sexual behavior, this was something I heard so often, is that I am using this acting out behavior, I am using pornography, I am using masturbation as a means to run away from some of my failings. Now, I will say that it is true that I have used a lot of different coping behaviors, not just this unwanted sexual behavior, but alcohol, video games, food. I have used these to help me cope with stressors in life, to help me just deal with some of the very challenging seasons that I have had. Very difficult and uncertain circumstances. These were ways that I used to just help me get through the day to day. But that doesn't mean that I was the problem. Recently, I've been trying to find some part-time work, and I have a dear friend who believes that there is this perfect role that is going to be opening up, and she's like, hey, you would be a great fit for this, and it would work with what I'm doing here on my own small business, and there wouldn't be a conflict, and I could kind of have my own hours. And I have been trying to get into this employment system that she's in, because it's admirable that these people, they tend to move people that are already employed there into different positions. And so they wanted to hire someone who has an understanding of their systems and their processes and makes complete and total sense. And they also do a great job of looking out for their own. I commend them for that. And I applied for 2 other part-time jobs with the same employer, and I wasn't even considered for an interview. And that was heartbreaking, to say the least. I definitely experienced a depression from that, because a big insecurity of mine is feeling like, or not even just feeling, but thinking that I'm not wanted. And so having this kind of experience just feeds more fuel into that fire. And I could take a look at this situation and look at it through that lens as they just didn't want me. There is something that I did wrong with my resume. There is something that I had said that messed things up. Maybe I didn't say enough. Maybe I didn't go in and talk with people more. Maybe I should have gone in sooner in an effort to introduce myself to the people that I would be working under. Those messages came on so strong that I wasn't wanted because there was a problem with me. One of the things that came up with all of this, as I was processing and kind of letting some friends know about it, is the job market is terrible right now. Even though I have someone who is advocating for me and is even being listed as a reference and has 100% faith that I can do this job and I can do it well, that doesn't mean that I'm going to get the position, as much as I hoped that that was the case. And that also doesn't mean that I did something wrong. Things are very competitive right now. They probably had so many applicants that they had to sift through in order to find the best person for the job. Did I hope that I was the best person for the job? Absolutely. And they had different plans for that. And I'm still going to try for this more production based position when it actually opens up. And at this point, I need to remind myself that whatever happens, happens. And I have no control over any of that. The problem wasn't and isn't me. It's not something that is inherently wrong with me that brought about this result. This is a very difficult time for a lot of people. Prices are increasing all over the board. People are struggling to make ends meet. There is so much insecurity about what the future even looks like. And I believe since Trump got into office last year that one of the things that I think was a promise from him and the GOP is that they were going to help fix the job market, and that hasn't happened at all. A lot of people are struggling to find work. So in this case, there's more of a problem with the system. There's more of a problem with society. And it's not me. I'm not the one who's the problem. And I wish that in the moment it was easier for me to remind myself that I am perfect just as I am. A lot of that is my own narrative because I have just bought in for so long that there was something that was just wrong with me, that made people not want me, that made people see something in me that just made me undesirable. As I said before, we do have problems in our lives, but that doesn't make us the problem. Because I am having to take some antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications doesn't make me the problem. I have been through hell and back multiple times since 2021, the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years or so. It has, this last half decade has just been such a challenge to navigate. Mental health, physical struggles, financial issues, political upheaval, having to hear so many stories about violence. No wonder that I am on an antidepressant when there is so much around me that has been depressing. And that is an issue that I can work on. The anxiety that I have felt since 2021 really hit hard in 2023. These are all things that I can work on. And my life has been significantly better since I've got this thing up here under my hat to stop going down worst case scenarios and helped with some chemical imbalances up there. And I used to be one of those people that would, I guess, preach that I shouldn't need medication to help me with this. And this is actually something that my partner Libby really helped me work through. And, well, I'm glad I took that step because my depression, it is a problem. I can be a very depressed person. It's something that came up after my parents' divorce, actually even before that, because of all of the discrimination, the criticism, and the bullying that I experienced in late elementary school, all of middle school. Then my parents get divorced when I was a freshman in high school, navigating that while still being bullied and discriminated against and even ridiculed. Yeah, I had my first really big series, or season, I should say, my first really big season of depression when I was a teenager. And that was when I was actually thinking that the world would be better off without me. And I'm so glad I did not follow through with that. And that is something that can still come up from time to time. I can be depressed, but that doesn't mean that there is a problem within me. There might be a chemical imbalance. There might be some baggage that I'm holding on to that needs to be processed through like therapy or counseling. But those are things that we can work on. Those are things that we can fix, that we can resolve, and they're not me. That's the important thing for me to remember. And speaking of fixing, I also want to just put this caveat in here. We need to be very careful of people who want to fix us, because that's going to feed into this narrative that we are the problem. There are some dear friends of mine that have some challenges that they have to navigate. And in fact, there have been multiple friends that Libby's had some conversations with about some of these mental struggles. And some of them have been received well. Some of them absolutely were not. And to a certain degree, she didn't know all of the information. She didn't know the whole story. And that's the same with me. One of the reasons why I enjoy doing this kind of work is I get to help people process through their stories in order for them to figure out how best they can work through their baggage, their trauma, their hiccups, their hang-ups, whatever it happens to be. And I can't look at someone and look at their behavior and say, aha, I know exactly what's going on here. It's this, this, and this, and you need to follow these 5 steps in order to get there. I don't have those kind of answers. And that is also an example of me looking at people as problems that need to be solved. Now, I don't want to feed that narrative. I absolutely do not. Because I've been there. That is a horrible place to be. If someone is trying to fix you, then that is feeding into a narrative that you, my friend, are the problem. So really watch out for that. It makes me think of I guess it's a stereotype these days of the man who is like dark and brooding, and I don't know, I guess some women find that attractive, but there is this thought that often comes up where it's like, well, I can fix him. I can fix him. No, you can't. We cannot fix other people because we don't know the whole story. And these people are not logical puzzles that we can rationally solve. In fact, I would even dare say that anything that is emotional, that has emotions, typically cannot be logically solved. So we can't even apply logic to it. That being said, The only person who can truly make an impact on the issues and the problems that we face on a daily basis is ourselves. I'm the only one who can really make any significant impact on my own issues, my hangups, the problems that I face. And yes, I do have some very wonderful people who help me on a daily and a weekly basis. I have people supporting me, and I am so, so grateful for these individuals. And I don't expect them to fix me because I am not the problem. I am not a problem to be solved. Just like I cannot look at my friends. I can't look at Libby. I can't look at my family and believe that I'm the one who has the answers of how they're going to live a better life. Because then I'm turning them into problems and saying, I have the solution. One of the things that I learned as I was developing as a coach is when we find the solution ourselves to a problem, it has so much more impact than if we had someone else tell us what that solution is. In fact, I have had some clients in the past that I've had to tell them, I'm not the one with the answers. I'm the one who has many questions, and my questions will help you find the answers. And I've had some clients actually be frustrated with me because they come to these calls and they have this mentality of, I have a problem, or I am the problem. Here, Marcus, please fix it. And I can't do that. We dive into their story. We look at what it is that is driving these behaviors, the feelings, the thoughts, all of that stuff. Because it's a whole package. And once we know what's really going on beneath the surface, then we can start to come up with solutions of how you can work in order to be better in these areas in your life. Hell, even in my own life. Because I'm still a work in progress as well. And I have had some clients that show up to calls and there's just a pregnant pause from time to time because they're waiting for me to give them an answer, and I'm waiting for them to tell me what's coming up within them. I've had some clients kind of stare at me and it's like, oh, man, you're asking questions again. And the whole reason why I do that is because I can give them an idea, possibly even a solution. But since it's not my story, since I don't know every thought, since I don't know every childhood experience, since I don't know every little minute detail of what has brought them to these conversations with me, I could give them an idea and it could be totally wrong and actually not work for them. Then that just puts them in an even more challenging position. Last week, I was listening to a Skeptics with a K podcast, and I have interviewed Marsh from the Merseyside Skeptic Society. He is one of the presenters on this podcast. And they, on this podcast, do a lot of debunking of pseudoscience. And one of the things is one of the other presenters, Dr. Alice, was sharing about some pseudosciences that were very much centered around this notion that if you're not achieving what it is that you want in your life, then here's the 3, 5, 10 steps. This is the program that you have to pay for. in order to get what it is that you are striving for. And if anyone says that they have the solution for you, yeah, can pretty much guarantee they don't. That's a big part of the self-help and even the community help that is so prominent these days. And a lot of it is pseudoscience. A lot of it is like multi-level marketing schemes. It's all about trying to make money. It's all about trying to influence other people in order to gain some kind of benefit from them. And one of the things that comes up quite regularly with these is if you're doing something that is prescribed by someone, by an expert, by a program, and it's not working, well, that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the program. Oh, you might guess where this is going. There's something wrong with you. You're not working hard enough. You're not trying hard enough. You've missed some steps. You've cut some corners. Whatever it is, they make the problem about you. And that is why I wanted to have this conversation, because it is so, so important for us to understand we are not the problems. We are perfect individuals, even in our imperfections. That is one thing from my Christian upbringing that I still hold on to, is I am perfect just as I am. I am perfect as the thinning-haired, white, European descendant, heterosexual, cisgendered man that I am living here in the United States. I am not a problem, and neither are you. Individuals who have some mental struggle, whether we're talking something like anxiety or depression, or we're talking something like ADHD or ADD, whether we're talking about individuals who are on the autism spectrum, whether it's something that has been diagnosed or not. When we're talking about people who are neurodivergent in any way, these do not mean that these are problems or that you are a problem that needs to be fixed. You're not someone who needs to be fixed. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a wonderful and beautiful individual, whoever you are, however you present yourself. We are all beautiful and perfect. Even if there are things about us that we just don't care for, like me being overweight. I'm doing some stuff to change that. And I've also discovered along the way how many different hang-ups I had about that. Things that were taught to me. A lot of this is familial, a lot of it is societal, a lot of it is systemic. And these are the problems, especially that last one. If the system is failing us, we can fix the system. If that is the problem, then that's the problem to be fixed. Not you, not me, not the person sitting next to you, not the coworkers that you have, not the family members. And some of this ties back to just seeing the humanity in ourselves and in others. Because if we're looking at each other as problems, then we're really taking that humanity out, aren't we? Quick reminder here, if you are enjoying this podcast, then please give this video a like, subscribe. If you're listening to the audio version, then please leave a 5-star rating wherever it is that you're listening to this. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. My email is questions.btcpod@gmail.com. I am happy to answer questions here on the podcast. I'm happy to just email back and forth, and I would love to hear from you. And I hope that this has been inspiring for you, and I look forward to talking with you again next time. And until then, live strong for today.